Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing another character file review on Seymour Utterthwaite, who made his first appearance in 1986's Last from Wine episode, The Uncle of the Bride, and made his last appearance in Return of the Warrior in 1990. Seymour was a very interesting character, a character that I think is truly amazing, and he ranks up there in one of my top third men on the Last from Wine list because he's alright, he's a bit eccentric. He's a genius inventor. Well, not really, but yeah. And he also is just really great. And I like in the way that you have like Foggy, who's a bit more of a big authority figure. Seymour wasn't really that. Seymour was up for a bit more fun, but he was also a bit of a snob, a bit up himself. But he was funny, and it was just truly amazing. He was basically like the Doctor Who of Last on Wine. A lot of my mum said to me that he would have made a great Doctor Who back in the day, and I think he would have done. Michael Aldridge, his performance is just amazing, and you really feel like they're friends because he's kind of like the polar opposite of Clegg and Compo, because he's a lot more posher and a lot more upper class than them. And you see that in First of the Summer Wine, where he's very snobbish to everyone. He was like, "Oh, I shouldn't be working in the co-op," and that's played brilliantly by Paul McCain. Paul McCain or Paul McLean. Paul McLean. Yeah, he does a brilliant job as portraying Seymour in the prequel, and you get to see him the whole series. He's pining after that woman, and he's so arrogant and so like, I'm right. I'm a genius. I'm much better than everyone else. That's kind of what his mindset is, but he does make us a really great character because he's so funny, and that's what really engages the character. And his dynamic in Last of Some Wine, apart from First of Some Wine, is his dynamic between them two. I think is really good, and it's very different to the dynamic of Foggy and them. So yeah, it's strange thinking what the episodes would have been like if Foggy had stayed on for them series. But yeah, so I really do enjoy his lovely dynamic with the cast and everything, and also his sister as well, Edie Pegden and all of that sort of stuff. And he brought in all of the Pegdens and the Barry Englenders, the Wesley. He brought in all of them characters really because it all started with Uncle of the Bride having all of more of these characters kind of pop up, and they stayed with the show for a very long time. So I don't think if Seymour was in the show, none of those characters probably would have popped up as much. But the fact that those characters were there, he brought in kind of more of the characters, I'd say. And Michael Aldridge is a very talented actor and a truly amazing third man. On my list, he's like second. He's like near Foggy, and then underneath him's like Truly and Blame Miner. Because Blame Miner was good. He should have got more time. But something I've got to say is that Seymour, it was a shame that we didn't see more of him. See more of him. Which is very sad. But Michael Aldridge, he did do a brilliant job in portraying Seymour. And yeah, and I do like the school aspect of it. Like he's like a head teacher, and you would think he's more authority figure for that as well, which I always find interesting. And his house, where he's got like loads of mad projects going on, inventing and all this sort of stuff, which I always find really interesting. And then you've got him in his house. He's got loads of chairs that are just taken from schools, and they're like really small, and you see them sat on them, and that's just hilarious. It's really amazing. And his last scene before he goes off to go back and work at a school is like, "Oh, I think I've forgotten my cane." And it was like, "Oh, you're not allowed to use them anymore." It was like, well, "Can I teach them discipline?" It's just like, just brilliant. Roy Clark is an absolute genius. And I believe Roy Clark was actually a teacher in real life and a police officer, so that kind of gives aspects of Seymour and Truly as well that come from the writer himself. So that's rather interesting to think about. But yeah, Seymour is a great character, and it's a shame that he went so quickly. He was only in about, I believe, 4 series, I believe it was. But yeah, it's It's a true shame that he was in, and he appeared in 31 episodes of Last Summer Wine as well. Obviously, between that two, that many. But yeah, I truly got to say he was incredible as a character, and it's a shame that he didn't stay on longer. But I heard somewhere that his wife was suffering from an illness, so he had to leave Last Summer Wine to help her or something like that. I've heard, which so he didn't leave in the best circumstances, but yeah, he was a truly amazing actor though. That way, and if he was to have not have done Last Summer Wine, he would have made a very good Doctor. I could easily see him playing as the Doctor after Peter Davison, you know, or something like that, which would have been interesting. And he kind of gives you those kind of Tom Baker vibes, you know, or that kind of vibe, or John Pertwee kind of vibe. But he does a really good job as playing Seymour Utterthwaite. His surname is an absolute mouthful to say, and they mention that in First Summer Wine, where he knocks at the lady's house and he's like, Seymour Utterthwaite from the Co-op, and it was like Seymour like what, you know. So I just find that funny as well. And in First Summer Wine, he seems to be very disappointed that he's working at the Co-op. He thinks he can do better in the tailoring department. He seems to think, yeah, and Paul McLean, he seems to really do a good job as well. Michael Aldridge and Seymour Lane, you could easily see, Paul McLean growing up to be Michael Aldridge in the show, because they do look quite similar, and also they do act very similar as well, which I think really works well and kind of shows that Seymour would grow up and be like that, because they're both very similar, also in the way he acts. And it's weird though, in First Summer Wine he's all like, oh yeah, he wants to go out with all the girls, and then in Last Summer Wine he's not really too fussed that much. But you do get that great scene in Last Summer Wine where he says Marjorie to the door, and he can't get in, and then they always just sneak through the back. But yeah, through the window and drop compo down there. Very interesting. I find that so funny all the time, and it's truly brilliant. It's just a shame that I think that Seymour would have been great to sell on. I think in comparison to Foggy, he's quite different, but that's what makes him so good, because you don't want every single third man to be a carbon copy of Foggy Dewhurst, do you? So, because that would give them no characteristic, nothing like that would distinguish them from the other characters. But Seymour stood out, I think, and yeah, I think Seymour was just truly great, and that they could have done more with him, but they did some absolutely amazing episodes with him. I mean, his exit is pretty cool. I mean, we actually get to see him leave. I mean, that is a rarity for Last Summer Wine sometimes. Sometimes when a character just disappears out of thin air and it's never explained, no reason given and things like that. And he has a reason, because he actually filmed a departure scene. They went to a few pubs and then they shook hands and he got on the coach, not the coach, the bus, and he talked about the cane and all that sort of stuff that I mentioned earlier. And then he obviously goes off and all that sort of stuff, which I thought was brilliant the way they exited. And then here comes Foggy again, you know, like it was kind of like, yeah, Seymour is the sandwich between two Foggies. So that's kind of how I described it. But yeah, so great exit and great beginning, because when they threw him in there in Uncle of the Bride, we didn't really know who he was until we kind of like, through the episode we start to know him and all that sort of stuff. And that's a great episode. Barry and Glenda get married on that. That's brilliant. Barry and Glenda, I need to do a character file review on them. They're brilliant characters. And they probably wouldn't be in the show if it wasn't for Seymour's character and all that kind of stuff. So, fairly interesting. So, Seymour, overall, as a character, is pretty amazing as a character. The dynamics that I mentioned earlier with Compo and Clegg is just brilliant, as he's a lot more upper class and a bit more like that, you know, a bit more authority, but in a different way to Foggy. Kind of get what I mean. he's quite up himself in a number of ways, but he also thinks he's rather snobbish as well. A bit more like Blaine Meyer kind of characteristics, but very different in a way. And the mad inventor idea, I think, is just amazing. That great scene where the car ends up in the pond, that's a brilliant scene, right? Brilliant scene. And obviously the Marjorie the door thing, just brilliant. But overall, as a character, he stands out a bunch of all the rest in Last Summer Wine history. One of my most favourite characters, I would say, in Last Summer Wine, even though he only appeared in 31 episodes, which is nothing in comparison to you know, Frank Thornton, who appeared in over 100 episodes. Foggy Dewhurst, obviously played by Brian Wilde, he appeared in 117 episodes, so it's quite a big difference. And he only appeared in 31, but those 31 episodes are golden. They're just brilliant. So yeah, that's kind of what I have to say about Seymour Utterthwaite. And yeah, he was a truly brilliant character, both played by Paul McLean in First Summer Wine, and he did a brilliant job portraying the younger, snobbish, kind of like, I want to get there in kind of vibes, you know, he wants to be successful and be out of this, and obviously he did, because he went on to be a teacher. And then obviously Seymour, the older Seymour, played by Michael Aldridge, who is very similar in so many ways, and they share so many similarities because they're the same character. And he just does a truly great job. And they also kind of sound a bit alike as well, which is something the First Summer Wine actors just do perfectly. I mean, it's probably one of the perfect prequels I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've got to say on Seymour. Yeah. So, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a video soon enough. I'm hopefully going to do a video on Compo, as I was requested, so hopefully that'll be out in a few weeks, or a couple of days, just whenever I can get them out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I love Seymour as a character, and it's a shame we didn't see more of him, but that's a true shame. But Michael Aldridge, you're a legend, and you played him so well. And yeah, bye for now. See ya.